2019. The Council now becomes Committee of the Whole Council to consider the Inland Revenue Amendment Profits Tax Concessions for Insurance-Related Businesses Bill 2019. Members may refer to the appendix to the script for the debate and voting arrangements for the bill. Members have been informed that the committee will conduct a joint debate on the clauses, schedule, and amendments. I now propose a question to you that the following clauses and schedule stand part of the bill. Clauses 1 to 17 and schedule. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury will move amendments which seek to amend clauses 7, 14, and 17 and schedule. Members may refer to the appendix to the script for details of the amendments. Members may now proceed to a joint debate on the clauses, schedule, and amendments. I will first call upon the Secretary to speak, but he is not required to move his amendments at this stage. Then I will call upon members to speak. Upon the conclusion of the joint debate, the committee will first vote on the clauses with no amendment standing part of the bill, and then the Secretary's amendments. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. Chairman, I move to amend clauses 7, 14, and 17 and schedule of the Inland Revenue Amendment Profits Tax Concessions for Insurance-Related Businesses. Details of the amendment are set up in the bundle distributed to members. These amendments serve two purposes. First, to provide for consequential amendment to the Inland Revenue Amendment Ship Leasing Tax Concessions Bill 2020 recently passed at Council. Both the bill in question and the Ship Leasing Tax Concession Bill will provide for consequential amendment to Section 19 CA and 63 H brackets 1D of the IRO. As this bill was introduced for first reading earlier than the Inland Revenue Amendment Profits Tax Concessions for Insurance-Related Businesses Bill 2019, this has not provided for consequential amendments arising from the passage of the letter. Considering that the Ship Leasing Tax Concessions Bill was passed at the Council meeting on the 10th of June, we move to amend Clause 7, 14, 17 and schedule of this bill to provide for consequential amendment to the Ship Leasing Tax Concession Bill. Secondly, we take this opportunity to make a minor textual amendment to Clause 17 to add the number of the amendment ordinance among the ordinances of the year in which it is published in the Gazette. The amendments I mentioned are technical textual amendments and will not have any substantive impact to the bill. I so submit, and I urge members to support the amendments. Mr. Kenneth Leung. I realize that these amendments to clauses 7, 14, and 17 are technical textual amendments. Earlier, the Ship Leasing Tax Concession Bill was passed on the 10th of June. With regards to these clauses, 19 CA includes normal trading receipt, chargeable operating receipts, etc. And there would be a substantive impact if such amendments are not made. In terms of the method of computation for ship leasing, the method for computation is similar or corresponds to that for aircraft leasing. For such substantive amendments, while the aircraft leasing bill was passed a long time ago, shouldn't a change be made with the main legislation for ship leasing? Well, time-wise, there is a difference of a few weeks. For aircraft leasing, were changes or amendments made to the definitions, the method for calculation for ship leasing and aircraft leasing should be the same. That's what I remember from 2 years ago. I'd like to address what the Secretary said in the committee stage, even though this might not be directly related to the amendments, but it is certainly related to the bill. In terms of talent or manpower, apart from offering tax concessions to the relevant companies, the income of insurance brokers would be reduced by half, that is 8.25%. To appeal or attract insurance businesses, one key source of clients is the Greater Bay Area. Even though this is not a new piece of legislation, it will be enacted very soon for mainland employees working in Hong Kong. They might face or they might have to pay 45% in personal income tax. Secretary. There is a comprehensive avoidance of double taxation between Hong Kong and the mainland. In terms of the income of insurance brokers in Hong Kong, while we are, for the sake of the bill, we are looking at profits tax. Typically, insurance brokers would have to pay profits tax. In theory, they would not be subject to double taxation. They should only be paying the difference. The cost of operating a business in Hong Kong is high, and the standard of living is also high. For these employees working in Hong Kong, if the income tax is raised by 35%, would the talent still remain in Hong Kong? Or if they find no difference between Hong Kong and Shanghai anymore, Hong Kong provides many options for people from mainland China or Southeast Asia who want to take out insurance products. And if these talents decide to return to the mainland, we would be facing a vacuum in talent. And if that's the case, the tax concessions provided would not be enough to compensate for the loss in competitive edge or business. And this is a key business factor to consider. Without these mainland talents to attract clients from the Greater Bay Area, who would be playing the role of super coordinator? Are we going to nurture more talents in Hong Kong? Are we going to train up more talents in Hong Kong to conduct insurance business in the mainland? I wonder whether the insurance authority has thought about this. Apart from the technical amendments proposed, I'd like to know about the support measures. A tax rate of 8.25% is rather competitive, but what we lack is talent. Madam Deputy, I wonder whether you would allow the Secretary to address the two questions I asked. Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Like Mr. Kenneth Leung said, the amendments proposed are technical in nature. Earlier, there was a ship leasing tax concessions bill. The nature of the two bills are related, and the consequential tax concessions or arrangements have been included. Today, Donald Trump announced a measure with far-reaching consequences. He indicated that under the Maritime Tax Concessions Act signed in enacted in 1989, it will be repealed. We do not know when the act would be appealed, but this double taxation avoidance act will be repealed. For vessels registered in Hong Kong, they would have enjoyed tax concessions under the bill, but unfortunately, with the U.S. decision to abolish the special or preferential status of Hong Kong, the tax concession in the U.S. enjoyed by vessels after 1989 would be removed. I do not know how much taxes would have to be paid and how many operators would be affected. I believe even the government could not grasp the impact of such. In terms of such taxation amendments, they are rather misplaced in the context of the global environment and the U.S. relations. This is rather regrettable. The SAR government has said that they are not concerned about U.S. sanctions, but is this really the case? When the CDTA Act for vessels would be abolished, would the benefits of this bill be not affected at all? And with this arrangement in place, would there be changes in the government's policy and direction? This is a big issue to be addressed. The Secretary, I trust that you are familiar with the financial services sector. You would realize that this is not easy to tackle.
Well, you pointed out on the three major directions for insurance sector. As far as talent is concerned, you talk about the intermediaries, legislation, and the training. Well, the purpose of the legislation is hoping to expand our business scope, and for the general insurance business, well, maybe the market share from maybe just not significant to improve at least to back in 2010, we made it let's say 1/6 in the teens percentage. For the Financial Service Development Council report, it stated that Munich Re and other professional reinsurers are leaving Hong Kong as a warning sign, while the talent drain referred to the talent on product design and legal knowledge and claims processing. And this is not what the intermediate legislation can help. We had to do with the future of the whole sector. So what kind of ways to bring this talent back to Hong Kong? Apparently, Singapore, or maybe they used to be lagging behind us. While these reinsurers have left Hong Kong, when the general insurance company have left Hong Kong, with what can we able to catch up the lost time in market share? If our future hinges on the Greater Bay Area and also the general insurance business on the mainland, that's we require strategic thinking and a plan. Well, it could be relevant, but probably on a low level. for the intermediaries, like Ms. Sophia Chen said, we shouldn't let our young people say that the insurance sector had to do with sales, because it could be a huge sector, for example, product design, claims processing, and also the legal and the accounting professionals. So these are very professional. If the government see this with the context, or only at a very low level, in which we need to play the role of the intermediary, I haven't got a good answer from the government on this. Well, the Trump signing of the Hong Kong Autonomy Act is just one part of which will have a huge impact to Hong Kong's economy. And on this, I've yet to heard from the government are able to offer a rigorous and a serious assessment of the impact and the respond accordingly. So what I heard is still don't worry, we still have enough talent. We have a strong base and able to weather this. But now that we are seeing this and how that actually play out, well, Secretary, if we get a chance or wish to respond to us, maybe you can inform the Hong Kong public that even though we are having legal amendments to improve the operations, however, we need to cope with the new challenges. Besides offering tax breaks, we also need an effective strategy to cope with that. Well, there may be question of confidence. Does the government actually know how we should go forward? For all the taxation treatment is something done yesterday. What you described yesterday is totally different for the world before us. Well, the so-called the consequential amendments in the bill were not able to cope with the actual repeal of the double taxation exemption. I suppose the sector is well versed in this. Well, at the government, you have to inform the Hong Kong people and how do we cope with this kind of changes. With a lot of shipping companies, even after the amendment, after doing the math, they choose not to register in Hong Kong. And if they chose not to register here, so would the proposed legal amendments bring up any benefit? I hope that the government can provide such information to us. This is not a debate on the bill itself, and we're not able to get such information in this debate. Well, the further we dig in, we can see there will be huge implications. At this point, I hope the government, when you've been raised such questions, you have to come up with an effective strategy. And our current status so that everyone can able to grasp the latest situation and able to make their own appropriate decision. So my remarks are simple. Hope the government can respond, especially after making such constitutional amendment. Well, but they're probably not too relevant. While the U.S. government will repeal the double taxation exemption for the shipping industry, whether would be any impact. Any members like to speak? Mr. Leung, would you like to speak? Would you like to call for quorum? Yes. Mr. Leung, you should call for quorum.
法定人數已
We have a quorum. We'll continue with the meeting. If there are no members who would like to speak, I now ask the Secretary to speak again. Secretary, I'd like to reply to two members' points in relation to aircraft leasing. Well, this will not have an implication on this technical amendment. In relation to the members' point about manpower training, as I said, the pilot scheme in 2016 target back of house manpower as well. Over 4,004 people have benefited from it. The committee now first votes on the clauses with no amendments standing part of the bill, and I put the question to you that clauses 1 to 6, 8 to 13, 15, and 16 stand part of the bill. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Mr. Leung Yu-chung claims a division. The bell will ring for 5 minutes.
開始表決。
Members, please proceed to vote. Will members please check their votes? If there are no queries, voting shall now stop and the result will be displayed. 52 present, 44 for, 7 against. No abstention. The question is agreed by majority of members present. I declare the motion passed. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. President, I move that in the event of further division being claimed in respect of the motion on Inland Revenue Amendment Profits Tax Concession for Insurance-Related Businesses Bill 2019 or any amendments thereto, this Council do proceed to each divisions immediately after the division bell has been rung for 1 minute. I now propose the question to you that the motion moved by Mr. Ma be passed. Mr. Kenneth Lam claims the division. The bell will be rung for 5 minutes.
開始表
Members, please proceed to vote. Will members please check their votes? If there are no queries, voting shall now stop. Members from FC 31 present, 22 for, 8 against. Those from GC 20 present, 13 for, 7 against. I think the question is agreed by majority of members of the two groups, that is, those returned by GC and those by GC who are present. I declare that the motion passed. I declare that in the event of the further motions to be voted on, we will proceed to vote after 1 minute. The committee now votes on Secretary's amendment. Secretary, you may move your amendment. Chairman, I move my amendments as set out in the appendix. I propose the question to you that the Secretary's amendments be passed. And I put the question to you as stated. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. Mr. Kenneth Lam claims a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute.
Voting begins. Please check your votes. Voting's closed. The results are shown. 51 present, 44 in favor, 6 against. I think the question is agreed by a majority of members present. I declare the amendments passed. Clauses 7, 14, and 17 and schedule as amended. I now put the question to you that the clauses and schedule as amended just read out by the clerk stand part of the bill. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Ms. Tanya Chan claims a division. The bell will ring for 1 minute. Voting begins. Please check your votes. Voting is closed. The results are shown. 51 present, 44 in favor, 6 against. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. All the proceedings on the Inland Revenue Amendment Profits Tax Concessions for Insurance-Related Businesses Bill 2019 have been concluded in Committee of the Whole Council. Council now resumes. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. President, I now report to the Council that the Inland Revenue Amendment Profits Tax Concessions for Insurance-Related Businesses Bill 2019 has been passed by Committee of the Whole Council with amendments. I move the motion that this Council adopts the report. I now propose the question to you that the Secretary's motion be passed. In accordance with the rules of procedure, this motion shall be voted on without amendment or debate. Now put the question to you as stated. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Mr. Kenneth claims a division. The bell will ring for 5 minutes.
開始表決。
Voting begins. Please check your votes. Voting is closed. The results are shown. 54 present, 47 in favor, 6 against. The question is agreed by a majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. Third reading. Inland Revenue Amendment, Profits Tax Concessions for